but I'm going to just run with it here because what you said, Smack, is something that's true because when you're dealing with a certain level of comfort and the amenities of what your celebrity provides, a lot of individuals, you know, they have a right to have a good life for themselves and they have a right to provide for their family. When everybody says, why a celebrity doesn't get on the front line, I'm like, well, number one, let's break it down like this. Just because they're a celebrity does not mean that validates them as being the social authority or the voice of the people. And I'm like, this is something that, especially with black people,
that's nigga shit. That's nigga shit.
Yeah.
You go ahead and say it, nigga. That's nigga shit. We the only motherfuckers who look at entertainers as our leaders, and the media pick our leaders. We don't pick our leaders. Who the last leader we picked? Maybe Farrakhan was. Niggas just didn't even pick Farrakhan. He was thrust upon us through the Nation of Islam and put to the forefront. Who the last nigga that a nigga just really picked and said we gonna fuck with this nigga from ground up? Like we gonna get behind him.
Right. And
have it ever been a nigga like that?
No. And I mean, and even when you
know what though? You know, I'm gonna throw a wrench out there. And say at first we was gonna say Barack, but we know how that turned out.
That nigga, we ain't picked that nigga, man. We ain't picked that nigga, man. Stop it, my nigga. We ain't picked that nigga. The white folks picked that nigga, man. We ain't picked that nigga because if niggas pick a nigga, there'll be a nigga that look like me, like a motherfucker, that talk like me, look like me, you know. And probably, if niggas choose now, if you get a fucking bitch like Candace Owens, is, you know, that fucking bitch, you know.
Yeah, but it's crazy because, you know, when we look at what happened, especially with some of the police brutality shit, of course, rest in peace to Tamir Rice, you know, his mother, you know,
rest in peace to all the niggas.
Yeah, she wanted to call out. She was talking about how she thought it was sad that LeBron didn't say something about her son, you know, being killed by police. And I'm like, you know, and that was what I was saying earlier about the disclaimer, about not trying to disrespect anybody. But the fact was, I'm thinking to myself, why does LeBron need to say something? Why? Because he's in Cleveland?
No, because he got a platform and he got a voice, and if he say some certain factions and certain elements and certain motherfuckers is gonna listen and they gonna tune in and they gonna consider what LeBron has to say, be it no matter how you feel about it, be it wrong or right, they still gonna consider it. They're gonna at least consider it. You know what I'm saying? I'm not to say that they're gonna follow through with some action, but they are gonna consider it because he's LeBron James.
Understood. And I just thought from a situation of it, because she was already getting support regardless because of what happened with that tragedy. You know, she was already getting support, but it's like, you know, now you're asking somebody who didn't really, you know, who is not that he didn't care about it, but it's like, why would you call him out specifically? I think a lot of times it goes back to what I said and what you said, Matt, you know, and King. It's about, you know, people who choose to get into the fight. And a lot of times we try to volunteer people for it. And not everybody is going to have.
You know what? And a good example of that, too, is, see, this is what I don't really like. See, I look at it, I see the philosophy of you being your own leader. Like, why should we have to wait for Lil Wayne or somebody to speak for us when you can speak for yourself?
Well, you know where that comes from. You know where that comes from. That comes from years of niggas not having a voice. You know, and so the biggest voices we have in our community, you know, that's like, you know, motherfuckers relied King, but King he pulled in, tried to pull in Sammy Davis. He pulled in Harry Belafonte because he knew, like, okay, they amplified his voice when motherfuckers see, because Harry Belafonte was one of the biggest stars in Hollywood, and to see him out there walking. And, you know, King probably felt like, you know, if this yellow nigga ain't standing next to me, these laws just might go upside my motherfucking head. But I know they not gonna fuck with this old pretty yellow nigga right here that's Hollywood, because Hollywood gonna scream. Y'all bet not hit our golden goose nigga.
Yeah.
So that's kind of where it stems
not hit him with no brick.
Like a motherfucker, Hollywood gonna scream like a motherfucker. You damaged this pretty nigga face. So, you know, Yeah, nigga, shit. That's just how it. So, niggas, we need somebody to amplify our voice that we feel like the white folks give a fuck about. Because we know they don't give a fuck about us. They don't give a fuck about a poor white motherfucker. But even though they think they do, well, poor white trash motherfuckers really think that the system give a fuck about them, but they in the same boat we is. But they just think because I'm white, I'm still as good as you is, bitch ass nigga.
Matt, you hit it right on the head, too, and that's something that a lot of times, and, you know, that's something that, you know, straight up a lot of white people don't understand is that a lot of times it comes down to money and class, and if you are not in that same circle with certain white people who have money, even if you're white, now your complexion is going to help you along at a certain level. That is true. But at certain levels, if you're not in the same circles with them white people, like, remember how we watched some old movies back in the day, you would see how the white people be dissing other white people because they weren't in the same social class?
Mhm.
You know, so it's the same thing. You know.
Yeah, but as long as they feel like they ain't gotta wake up and be no black ass niggas, because you see LeBron, the most, you know, decorated nigga in America right now, but some white motherfucker still spray painting nigga on his gate. Like, nigga, don't forget, I'm still better than you.
You know,
and I ain't got a pot to piss in.
And it's wild, man, because, you know, and LeBron has never ever sold out the black community. He's always
man, we got y'all should know him because Ali Sadiq, he out of Houston, a comedian. He was on Last Comic Standing, and you know he making his rounds. He been out there for a minute, and he's funny as fuck. But just a couple weeks ago, that was 2 or 3 weeks ago, because the same day we work out at the same gym, and I seen him when we talked, and then he went his way, I went my way. But later on that day, he put up a post on Instagram of him at the gas station, a homeless motherfucking white woman asking him for some money, and he was trying to pump his gas, and he was like trying to tell her to hold on or something, or wait. He was doing something and was trying to tell her to hold on, and she got mad and called him a dirty nigga. And this is a homeless white bitch. I'm talking about homeless, dope fiendish. I'm talking about bitch look like she smell like wet dog and drying a motherfucker. And call that nigga a dirty nigga, and he put it on, and he say, y'all look at this shit here. Look, this is shit we deal with in America. This bitch is homeless, asking me for my money, but yet she still feel like she better than me. And I pull up in a brand new motherfucking big-ass, badass SUV. I'm somebody, but yet this is a homeless white bitch that still feels like, nigga, I'm better than you.
I mean, but it's like, and I've always...
That's a trip.
But I've said this on the show before, y'all. You know, Lyndon B. Johnson, former president of the United States, he said if you can make the lowest white man, you know, feel better, you know, feel that he's better than the average colored man, you know, you can empty out his pockets. Hell, give him someone to look down on, and he'll empty his pockets out for you.
Man, I think about when Malcolm wrote that letter back to Betty from Mecca, and when he said, man, I've come to realize that white is a state of mind in America. It's not a skin color. It's a state of mind. Like that shit that just moved like a light bulb when I heard it. That shit stuck with me, like from the time I heard it. Like it's not even a skin color. It's a state of mind, my nigga. Because he said, nigga, I'm sitting here with the whitest of white man, with the bluest of eyes and the blondest of hair, and we both fellowshipping and praying to the same God, sleeping on the same floor next to each other. That shit is a state of mind.